Is this maybe the best you've seen with Jordan in a dirty pocket Sunday? I mean, they were rushing him pretty hard, and some of the plays he was making.
Yeah. He did an excellent job finding, space, finding his throws. I thought Aaron Jones did a great job at times picking up those guys that got loose. So that was big by him because we hit a few explosives off him just stepping up in there and filling some holes. So, yeah, there's a bunch of guys that did a great job in protection to make those plays happen for sure.
Is it fair to say you guys are going a lot more under center now than you were in years, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
What's the advantage to that from your perspective?
I think you kind of give the illusion of more of a run, run sell, things like that. You can tie in your play actions, all that stuff. Everything, basically our offense is built on that, tying in the run game with the play actions and the keepers and stuff like that. So it kind of allows you to be able to work all of those with the formations and all that.
So that explains why he's been so good on play action, specifically on Sunday, but especially in the second half of the year.
Yeah, I think it all ties together, and that's once we got the offense rolling, we were able to just kind of build it all foundationally together to make everything built around the run game, built around the play actions, creating those explosives. So it's been fun.
Steno, obviously last year was your first year as the offensive coordinator, and you had Aaron here, but you had been here the whole time. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to compare Jordan and Aaron because they're obviously at different points in their career. But is it fair to say, Matt got kind of irritated this summer when we kept asking him about if we were going to see the Matt LaFleur offense. But when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers, you're going to use all of his experience to your advantage, right? So how would you kind of contrast what you guys were running with this kind of him with all of his input with what you're running now with Jordan and his experience level?
I think it's a peeled back version for sure, just because of all the new people. I think that plays a lot into it. Not necessarily Aaron versus Jordan, but our rosters in general with the inexperience that we have. So it's more of a peeled back version. And then just like the question before, like under center, play pass, trying to, lean on the run game as much as possible, where when you have Aaron, you kind of tend to throw it more, right? So it's stuff like that where you just go off the personnel you have and, do what you think is best.
Is there a value? I saw Bosa actually even made a comment about this out in San Francisco that, Jordan kind of runs the offense the way it's called and the way it's designed, where with Rodgers, my God, you guys went to Dallas, and back in 2016, before you got here, he's drawn up a play in the dirt at the end, right? Yeah. So is there a value in having a guy that everyone kind of knows he's not going to go off script, he's going to run?
Yeah, no, there definitely is a value to that, because half the time, when you get done with a drive, sometimes when in past years, you'd just be trying to figure out what play was called, you know what I mean? So now we know what was supposed to happen. But with Aaron, he would see stuff and make checks and all that you didn't know exactly what was happening at the time. But with this, we're all kind of on the same page and going. And not to say that way wasn't good, because we had great results with it, but this is nice because at least you can kind of build an offense around it, build plays off plays, as the game progresses. Hey, we did this, now we're going to do this, now we're going to do this. So I think our communication on the sideline has been better, just from that aspect of being able to, as the game progresses, have plays off of plays and things like that. So, that is a huge advantage this year.
Are the things you see that Jordan or is good at, are they different? Were they different in the early part of the year than they are now? Like, are you finding things that he's better at, or is he better?
To be honest with you, at the beginning of the year, we really didn't know. You know what I mean? So it's kind of just like trial and error, see how it's going, and as we're moving forward, we're kind of figuring it out. And there's still a lot out there for him. He's playing excellent, but there's still a lot out there that he can improve on, and so that's what's so exciting about all this is. There's just so much more. So I'm pretty fired up about that.
Are there like throws he makes or certain routes and you go, oh, that'd be good to put a lot more of those in? Like It's maybe the first time you put it in or something.
Yeah, no, and a lot of that has to do with his communication too, where he feels natural doing things, whatever that may be. But he's got some good arm talent, so he can throw the ball around the yard, and he does a pretty good job with it.
Adam, where at times was Dallas either double teaming Christian or Jaden, and did that open up things for Doubs? And when you asked Doubs about all the open opportunities he had Sunday, he said, "I'm just following our rules." There's that checklist.
Yeah, I didn't specifically, we went into the game plan not knowing, because they'd shown the ability to do that at times, to take single wide receivers away. But I really didn't notice it too much where they were game planning around one single guy. And I think that's a big advantage that we have, because we can spread the ball around. We have a lot of weapons all over the place. So, no, I didn't really notice them, trying to take one receiver away as opposed to the other. And Romeo, he's just following his rules, but he also ran some pretty spectacular routes. When you watch some of those, you can just see the talent that he has for running routes, and just some strong catches, and it was really fun to watch him.
How much of it was the routes he ran, and I was watching the game, just how does a guy get this wide open time and time again? How much is the depth around? Like, how does that happen?
Well, you saw, some of them you see off film, you're like, okay, they like to cut these, or, they overplay certain things. So as the game goes on, you can kind of set it up. And there was one where he's running a high cross, bends it back, and he's wide open. It's just things like as the game progresses, you can set that up. Or, hey, maybe they have a tendency to overplay certain routes, or certain corners do. So it's game planning, but then it's also when you watch that route that he ran, like, holy cow, that was one of the best routes I've ever seen. So, and then Aaron Jones in the protection, all that stuff kind of ties together with making a spectacular play.
Your O-line's been really good, especially on Sunday against that group. What's the challenge this week against, they've got like an all-star team up front.
Yeah, you look at their roster, and, not only are most of them first-round picks, but most of them are top 10 picks. So they have talent. They have a lot of talent. I have a lot of respect for how they're coached. I have a lot of respect for how they play. They play physically. They get up the field. They do a really good job in their scheme. So it's going to be a huge challenge for us. I'm excited for that challenge. With this young group that we have, I'm really excited to see how they come out there and how they play. It's going to be a great environment versus a really good opponent. So it's going to be a huge test for us.
How has that group kind of come together? You start the year with David, who played really well, and now Rashid's kind of found his way. You're still rotating at right guard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is that? Being an old O-line coach and an old O-lineman, how have you seen that group kind of coalesce?
Yeah, it's been fun. You see some of the guys kind of take the reins in the room. Elton, Myers, really just take the leadership role over, and done a great job with that. And then just like you said, anytime you can just get guys on the same page, get guys believing, it's been fun to watch. And we've had some injuries and guys step in there, but for the most part, we've been pretty healthy as compared to years past. So it's just been good, just getting all these guys a lot of reps together, and that builds confidence.
And we've asked you a lot of questions about Sean Ryan. I guess on the flip side, John's dad obviously played in the league forever.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been a pro with us. I don't know if I was in a contract year, I'd probably be pissed that I'm sharing time. How has he kind of handled that?
He's been great. Yeah, just like you said, he's a pro. He plays with a good attitude. Every time he's out there, he does exactly what we need him to do. He plays hard. So, yeah, I couldn't be happier with John and how he's handled all this. Because it's tough, being in that situation. But it kind of speaks to the selflessness that we have just across the board, not only with him but with other players. Just guys who are so happy for other players' success. And I think that's why us as a team, why we've been so successful. So, yeah, I'm proud of John.
Is that, not him specifically overall, what you just said, is that unusual? Like, you've coached in the league a while, you've obviously played, like, Matt keeps talking about the energy with this team and the wide receivers that are, is that not normal?
Yeah, it's not. It's not. Just because, you get money involved or any other contracts, all that stuff, there's that balance you have to walk that line as a coach to kind of make sure you're keeping everyone happy, where this group, guys just want to play, and they want to win. and I think that's been fun. It's been very refreshing. So, yeah.
Adam, just with the faster starts in the second half of the season, what do you think the key's been to that, and just sort of the trickle-down effect of being able to put points on the board right off the bat?
Yeah, last week someone asked me a question about just kind of what we changed when we hit that, where we weren't having a lot of success. And the one thing, obviously we were not doing a very good job coming out starting games. Can't remember what it was, but we didn't score a touchdown in the first half for a couple games, which was bad. So we changed our approach and really focused on, just making sure like everything we were doing in practice was about just starting fast and things like that. So we really emphasized it in practice. We emphasized it in meetings, and I think the guys eventually, that caught on, and now we've had a lot more success.
How does that look when you change things to emphasize starting fast? What drills are there, or what?
Yeah, it's in drills. Maybe it's, change of possession drills or whatever it is, kind of changing your mindset, but also, in meetings, just making sure guys are good with what we're going to hit right away in the game, making sure, everyone's clean with our favorite calls in certain situations, so when they come up, we're good to go. Everyone's on the same page. Because we had some errors at the beginning of the year with that stuff.
I thought that was an outstanding question last week. It was a little long-winded, though.
Was it?
Hey, along those lines, it is risky, though, right, to take the ball. There is some risk involved when you win a toss, right? Because if you go 3 and out, what has allowed your group for you to show them that confidence and then for them to execute and deliver?
Yeah, I think the guys just feed off of it. The confidence that the coaches have in the players, their confidence, their excitement to go just get the ball and go get going, So anytime you can start fast and get 7 points on the board on that first drive, I think that sets the tone for the entire game.
Have you seen big changes, or are they little from Sala to D'Amico Ryans to Wilkes now? Is there still the basis?
Well, Sala, when I was there for 2 years, and our first 2 years with Kyle and Sala and those guys, he played kind of a different front, where it was more of a 5 across front in base. And then they switched to like a 4-3 defense, but that was after I left. So, we played him a few times after that. And then D'Amico essentially ran the same defense. And Wilkes has kind of added his own wrinkles to it. Schematically, it's similar. Up front, they're still doing the same stuff with the D-lines and stuff like that. But I think he's added coverage-wise and pressure-wise, he's added his own wrinkles to it. So it's kind of evolved since I've been there for sure.
They weren't a big pressure team
No.
under Sala, right?
Only in certain situations. Third down and stuff they are. But yeah, base downs, they typically weren't.
Adam, when you were rotating at left tackle, right guard during the season, is that a scripted thing, a planned thing? Does the player know, hey, you're coming in,
Yeah.
first drive, third quarter?
Yeah, you kind of go through what our plan is in the game, and then just say it's always subject to change, depending on how it's going. But for the most part, they know this is the rotation, this is what we're thinking.
But there were some times where if it was a missed assignment, then you got a substitute?
No, not necessarily that. It's just maybe like, we feel better about a certain player in pass protection. It's a 2-minute drive. Hey, you're going to take this one even though it's your turn in the rotation or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Just certain situational things that could dictate that.
I know Bosa moves around left and right, but Wade's been this year, he'll probably face more of Zach.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think he's handled that? He's faced those kind of guys almost every week.
Yeah, I have all the confidence in the world in Zach. Bosa's a great player. This is going to be a great test for Zach, and it's going to be a great matchup. We had Parsons last week. Now you got Bosa this week, and as you go in the playoffs, you're going to face those great defenses and those great D linemen, and it's just another test for him.
I know you guys have done this since you got here, but Matt was mentioning the different departments that each guy has, third down, red zone, all that. Who's got what right now, and are you guys in a really good rhythm as an offensive staff, you feel like, in terms of idea generation and communication? et cetera?
Yeah, no, we are in a really, I mean, once you get to the 19th game, things are kind of pretty smooth operation, at least hopefully. But it's pretty collaborative as far as the whole thing. But for the most part, Vrabel third downs, done, red zone, and then base downs, we're all kind of involved in that.
Is short yardage still a separate kind of
Yep,
category?
short yardage, Ben Sermons. Yep.
Ben, or?
Yep, Sermons. So, yeah, there's all kinds of things.